Hello.
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 Hello, this is Bob.
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Wonderful. I'd like you to meet the producer of the show, Susan.
Hello,
Hi.
Susan. Hi, Susan.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Hey, we'll be fine. We'll have a
Okay.
great show. You've got lots to tell us, and
Yeah.
we haven't started yet. We've got about 7 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, what's happened with the Skype?
Um.
We used to do normal Skype, and then for some unknown reason we went to like a business Skype. But everybody we tried to get on, so you had difficulties getting on.
Yeah. It was with my phone. It was actually with my phone itself, rather than anything to do with the actual Skype thing. I think it was me and my phone because I think my phone's being intercepted. But that's for the interview. We'll get into that in the interview.
Oh yes, I know. Yeah, I do know about them. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. That's true. That's true. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm.
Yeah, it was one of your friends who suggested your name to come on the show.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him, Kieran Lee Perrin. I'm familiar with him. He's
Yeah,
done a
Kieran. Yeah,
yeah.
a great guy.
He really gave me a great opportunity with he gave me an opportunity to be on TI television and to meet everyone, and it was a really good opportunity for me to be on there. I'm really glad that I met him, and I'm grateful that
Yeah,
he gave me my name.
I
Yeah.
had him on my show.
Mhm.
Yeah, he came on my show,
Mhm.
and we got talking. And I said, "Do you know anybody else?" He went, "Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, in fact, I do. I'll give you her name."
Okay.
That's how it came about. That's why I got in touch with you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Bob. This is a very important subject that needs to be spoken about. So I'm really grateful that you're giving me this shot to come online and talk about things.
Hey, that's fine because there's people out there should know what happens. When you get targeted,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and I'm sure there is people being targeted right this moment in time,
Mhm.
somewhere in the UK, it can be around the world, anywhere.
Yeah. It's true. And there are so many people who are targets and don't know they're targets. That's even scarier. I mean, it's one thing when you know what's going on and you know what's happening, but when you don't know what's happening, it's very frightening and it can make you doubt yourself, which is the whole point of the psychological warfare that is currently against us. That's the whole point of it, is to bewilder you and to make you lose your footing. So imagine being a targeted individual and not knowing that you're a targeted individual. It's scary stuff.
Very scary stuff. I've seen what you've wrote, and it is scary, especially when you're in a flat or wherever, and you feel as though everybody's watching you or looking at you and
Mm.
monitoring you.
It can make you paranoid at first when you don't know how the process works. But once you start to understand the process and you start to understand that it's actually not a case of everybody watching you and everybody looking at you, it's a case of people who are in close proximity to you largely being responsible for harassing you. So it's like
Yeah,
there's an outer layer of the public that are none the wiser as to what's going on, and then there's a handful of people in certain positions that are tasked with gaslighting you. So it makes you think that everybody's against you, but it's not actually everybody. It's a select group of people that are assigned to harass you.
yeah, yeah, I know, yeah, yeah. It's an hard life, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not easy, Bob. It's not easy at all.
I can imagine it isn't. You've got to be aware of things. Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, that's for the show anyway.
Hmm.
We don't want everybody out there tonight as well. or today, wherever they are around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about that when we start the show.
Yeah.
And when the show's finished, we'll send you the archives of the show so you can listen to it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And then your friends can look at it and listen to it, and it'd be great. It's a fabulous show anyway. I always try and get the best people on my shows.
Oh, well, you don't need to flatter me, Bob. It's fine. Thank you for the compliment, sir.
What do you always say? Susan always says, I have the best people.
Yeah. Well, I hope I won't let you down. I hope I'll do your show justice.
I am sure you will do.
Will you also be talking about what gaslighting is?
Yes, I will.
Okay, because I've heard that term a couple of times, but no one's really...
No, I have very extensive experience with it, as well as having researched into what it actually is, so I can definitely tell you what it is for the show. I can definitely explain it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How are we, Susan?
We have a little less than a minute, Bob.
All right. There's something wrong with my computer, but I'm still on.
What's wrong?
All right, I'm just sorting it out.
Okay.
I thought it was going off then. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on here.
Oh, some unknown reason, Facebook went off. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why.
It happens.
Somebody's messing. Oh, it always happens with me.
I used to host a radio show at university, so I know all about, you know, how the production process works and things like that. Yeah, I know all about that. Yeah.
I'm back on again.
Mhm.
That's fine. Right, I'm ready when you are, Susan.
All right, and I'm getting ready to mute my mic, so I'm just going to let you know that I will play the intro, I will let you hear it, and then you'll be live as soon as your music is done.
All right, love. Everyone, and welcome to Over the Rainbow Show with the host Bob Brown on Wednesday, 12th of December at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, and 8 p.m. UK time. And to all the listeners from around the world, you can go to Beacon of Light Radio chat on Facebook, or you can Skype me at Beacon of Light Radio. Well, what a fabulous guest we have today. Oh, I'm going to be talking about being targeted and gaslighting and gangstalking as well, with a very, very beautiful person as well. My guest today is Fabian Deacon.
Yeah.
Can we please welcome Fabian to the show?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bob, for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. It's so nice for you to come on the show as well. When we talk about gaslighting, what does that mean?
Okay, so gaslighting is basically when it's playing tricks with your sensory perception. So, for example, say that I take a bottle of chili sauce, because I'm looking at it right now. I take a bottle of chili sauce and move it slightly. Now, it's enough for the other person to notice that it's been moved, but it's not enough for it to be like a huge problem, or for it to, you know, it's not enough for it to be a huge concern. So what will happen is I'll move it, and then somebody say, did you move it? And then I'll say, no, I didn't. So basically I'm lying to you, and I'm also tricking you about something relatively minor, making you doubt your memory perception and making you doubt your cognitive reasoning. So I'm playing games with your mind by taking something tiny, moving it, then denying that I actually did it. So it plays tricks with your mind and makes you feel like you're going mad, or you're losing your cognitive function. That's the whole purpose of gaslighting, is to alter your reality by playing little tricks with daily life, little tricks with tiny details, and making out like, you're just imagining things that, wait a minute, I'm sure that was there before. That's the kind of tricks that they play with you. But that's like a crude example. They can also do that with making hand signals that are aimed at you, and they're aimed at you, but because it's so small and so minor and it's over so quickly, if you make an example out of it, people will say that you're paranoid or you're going crazy. So that's the point of gaslighting, is to make you doubt your reality.
Right. When did you find out you was being targeted then?
This is actually a strange story, because I didn't actually find out that I was being targeted until somebody else was being targeted. Now, this person was complaining about a neighbor from downstairs that was a Russian neighbor. Apparently, this Russian neighbor was connected to some very important people in British government. And one of this person's relatives was a young man who was a sociopath. And he used to make this person's life hell, this person that I knew, at every opportunity. And she used to notice cars were following her, that her car was being vandalized. And at first, something told me that she's not making this up. And I started to notice patterns of behavior too. And it's when I started to notice patterns of behavior with regards to how this person was being treated, that's when I started to notice people acting strangely, using hand signals, calling my name, and then when I go up to talk to them about it, they say they didn't call it. Gaslighting, to make me doubt my perception. That's when I noticed that I was being followed, that I was being harassed more often, and it just got worse and worse. I started noticing bodily pains as well, but I didn't connect that until I actually moved out of my father's house and into my own accommodation, which is a supported accommodation that I'm in right now. So to recap, it was actually only when somebody else went through it and pointed it out to me that I started to notice that there were strange occurrences going on in my life. And, that's how I found out that I was being gangstalked. And then when I listened to stories about people's past in connection to Freemasonry, that's what made me realize that this might actually go back longer than just my young adulthood. This might have actually been happening all my life.
It's scary, isn't it?
No, it is scary, but you do have to hold it together. It's quite a weird existence, because it's as if you're going through two realities at once. So there's the world that which is real. You know that people are torturing you. You know that people are harassing you, gaslighting you, stalking you, intercepting your communications. You know people are doing this to you. And then you still got to get on with daily life. You still have to maintain this facade of playing along with authority figures. You know what they're doing to you, and you have to play along. So it's like you're living in two different realities in your head, and you somehow have to manage all of that without going crazy.
So what is daily life for you, being as a TI? Can you explain what a TI is?
A TI is actually something that we call ourselves within our own community, because we have a sort of community now, because more and more people are speaking out about it. We call ourselves targeted individuals, but what we really are, in accordance with this military experimentation that is being inflicted on us, what we are actually called is empowered individuals. And empowered individuals are individuals that basically mass brainwashing hasn't worked on. standard brainwashing hasn't worked on. So they're experimenting on us more intensely in order to find out why we haven't been as under control as someone else, why the programming hasn't worked so well with us as it worked with other people. That's why we're going through this. This is an experimentation process. You know, that's what we are. Empowered individuals are experimental lab rats, basically, to these people. That's what we are.
And do you meet up with other people like yourself then?
I actually talk to people like myself every day, increasingly now. At first, I never really had much of much fellowship with other TIs, but now I'm finding that I'm talking to them every day. I'm communicating with them more and more. So, yeah, I do actually have friends who are TIs now, which is very, very fortunate for me. You know.
Yeah, I should imagine it will be, because I suppose it's nice to chat to each other to find out more of what's, you know, you can find out a little bit more what's being happened to other people like yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very, very comforting, but it's just horrible that there are more people going through this, quite honestly. So
do you feel lonely then?
I don't feel lonely. I'm torn between feeling better about the fact that I'm not alone, and then also wishing that nobody else was going through this. You know, it's a weird place to be. I certainly don't feel lonely. No, not when you think about who I've been surrounded by all my life. You know, the kind of abusive people are surrounded by. No, I do not feel lonely at all. Don't feel lonely at all. I used to, but I don't anymore.
Oh, that's good then. What significant events have happened throughout your life related to gang stalking?
Okay, so significant events, one of which was an attempted framing back in April 2015 when I was living here. It was there were basically stalkers in the house, like, you know, all three tenants living here at the time were stalkers. One was only like an occasional stalker that came in and out and gaslit, but there were two significant others in my life that I had erroneously formed a relationship with, and therefore when I had backed out of that relationship and wanted nothing to do with them, they tried to set me up to be hospitalized by having a third party come in and try to shake me down and intimidate me, which led to an assault situation happening. I use assault in the most technical ways imaginable. This guy just brushed my face and that was basically it, but it was assault, right? So that's one of the most significant events that have happened in my life. Another significant event happened recently, and this was a 12-hour harassment campaign that took place last week from Friday night to Saturday morning. 12 hours of harassment, gaslighting, slandering, taunting, stalking my social media to show other people, which culminated in one of my stalker's friends actually calling the ambulance on me to talk about my Twitter rants and my Facebook rants. So basically they're trying to build a case based on that report. Now they're trying to build a case to say that I'm paranoid and things like that based on that report that was made to the ambulance on Saturday. So those are two.
Trying to get you, probably trying to get you sectioned.
Yeah, trying to get me sectioned again. Because the thing is, what they tend to do is when the abuse plateaus and it stops affecting me as much, that's when they start cranking up the pressure to try and make you go crazy. They'll try and up the electronic torture. They try to up the psychological torture. They try to do whatever they can to send you crazy and to make you behave irrationally so that you can be sectioned of your own accord, you know, so they can turn around and say, well, it's not us. It is them. It's always them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it must be hard sometimes. Like you were telling us before, but something might have moved. It's like you going out to the shop and come back and things have been moved round in your house. And you think, well, I've never done that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
yeah,
and sometimes a lot of the times they do break into my room when I'm not here, and they think I don't know, but I do. Stalkers do break into my house when I'm not here and start messing around with my things. It used to be a lot more obvious a few years ago, but it's not so obvious now. But they do break into here when I'm not here. So.
And who do you think they are besides your neighbours who are getting in? Is it something to do with the
I think it might be hired informal collaborators. Because that's what they're officially called. They're not called stalkers, they're called informal collaborators. And informal collaborators don't always have to be your neighbours. They can be handymen, they can be people from the council, they can be people from mental health. So it literally could be anybody coming into my room while I'm gone. Which is a scary thought.
Yeah. Well, it's bound to be scary.
Yeah.
When you're living on your own, you think, who's coming in next?
Yeah, the whole point is to violate your boundaries. That's what abuse is. The whole point is to violate your boundaries repeatedly so that they can break your walls down and be able to control and instruct you according to what they want you to do. That's the whole point of it. And breaking into your house while you're gone and messing with your things and gaslighting you. Sometimes I find my stuff cut up. And I know that it wasn't me that damaged my clothes. I've found several of my clothes cut up and damaged. And I know it wasn't me that did it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I suppose if you keep ringing the police, and people are saying, well, she's not right in head. It's got to be her. And you know for yourself, it's not you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's gaslighting, also damaging my property. With some other targeted individuals, their belongings get stolen, their possessions get stolen. And when they talk to the police about it and they actually have evidence, 9 times out of 10, the police won't even look at the evidence. Let me take you back to 3 years ago in April 2015, when I had evidence of being assaulted and I had evidence of people trying to set me up. The police but the police came into my room, wasted my time, wouldn't even look at the evidence. And very. Sorry?
Well, the 2 officers come then.
Yeah, it's always two. It's never one. So it's 2 officers that came in, didn't look at the evidence and said, we can't do anything about it because you threatened stuff and they threatened stuff. I'm thinking they assaulted me and you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that the person, this is what's really telling about the situation. The person who is responsible for engineering it all, or the people who are responsible for engineering it all, they were able to stay in the house the longest. And they were allowed to get off scot-free in this house.
That's you say there were Russians in the place where you was.
No. This was the person who was telling me that they were being gang stalked. They had the Russian neighbor with the important connections. But I think that person was a decoy. I think what's happened is that I've been monitored and gang stalked all my life, but it's only reached a crescendo when I started to go to university. And I think that was when I was supposed to have been programmed, but something went wrong. You see? And I think
it's happened since when you were a child then?
Yeah. I believe it's happened since then.
Do you have memories or anything from growing up?
Yeah, because I used to find that certain conversations I used to have in my house when I was 6 years old would suddenly come up when I was 11 years old in the playground. Because I've had a very, very good memory and I have a memory like an elephant, there are certain things that have been said in my house that are repeated to me 5 years later. Stuff like that I'm thinking back and I'm starting to remember. And when I used to get bullied, the teachers never used to do anything. I mean, they don't do anything for normal people in the first place. But whenever I was bullied and whenever I was gaslit, it was always a problem with my mental health. It was always me. It was never investigated. My family background was never investigated. Whoever was bullying me was never punished for it. It was always me being punished.
Did you ever go to the doctors?
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. Because I had a massive seizure when I was 3 years old that affected my speech and affected my cognitive abilities. I was monitored very closely from then as a kid up until the age of about 5 to 6 years old when it came to my epilepsy. So I was monitored by doctors. When I was in high school, I attempted suicide. I even wrote suicide notes to everybody before I did it. And they tried to get me to talk to a psychiatrist. But the thing is, the attempts to try to get me to come around and get me to... It was very half-hearted most of the time. Most of the time, there was only like 1 or 2 teachers making a real effort. And the rest of them were just trifling, really.
Is that how you felt in your life at that time then?
At that time in my life, I didn't even realize what was happening to me, so I couldn't make sense. I felt like I was being besieged, and I felt like there was something wrong, and I felt like I was being treated unfairly, but my feelings were always invalidated by everybody around me, by family, by friends, by enemies, by teachers. So it made me learn to not trust my own feelings. I had a feeling when I was a kid that something was wrong, but it was just that I didn't know how to process that or express it, because I was surrounded by people who were not only narcissistic but knew how to express themselves better than I did, so they thought they knew better than me.
What about your family at that time then when you were growing up?
My apologies to my family, but I didn't come from a good family. I didn't come from a good family. I came from a family that valued appearances more than anything. They had the image of a loving, tight-knit family when really there was a lot of narcissistic abuse going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't have... My family, they're not much help there, I'm sorry. I talked to a few of my relatives, but I tried to keep my distance because they're really not a lot of help with regards to this situation. And when I spoke about gangstalking to a few of my family members, they either try to play crazy like they don't know what's going on, or they turn around to me and say, well, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. I'm like, it's not something to believe, it's happening. And it's public knowledge.
Well, it's down to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, how does gangstalking feel, and what does it take psychologically?
The toll you mean the toll it takes on my psyche? At first, when I first started understanding gangstalking, and when I first started understanding how it worked, because I didn't realize how deep it went, and how deep the torture went, and how deep the attempted manipulations went, it really messed me up. It messed me up to the point where I tried to kill myself twice in one night 2 years ago. It really completely messed with my head.
Really down at that time to contemplate doing something like that to yourself.
Yeah. I went through hell. I went through hell mentally, psychologically. I went through absolute hell. It was not an easy thing to go through. I'd love to say, I'm a strong person and I breezed through it and, and beat my chest and act like I was really, coping with it well. But I wasn't coping with it well. I was a complete mess.
You got no help from anybody?
Only online, and then my online relationships with TIs, it started to develop, and then we started to meet each other in real life and have real conversations. So it was like it slowly grew into something that I could say, yeah, I've got a community here, but it took time. It didn't happen instantaneously. Until then, I had to put up with my family and my friends lying to me, insulting my intelligence, and trying to act like I'm crazy for speaking about these things. No help from anyone. When I was being harassed, no help from anyone. When I was being tortured, no help from anyone. I had to figure this out all on my own.
I can imagine. What's it like for a daily routine for you getting up, doing
because there's another portion of getting into the daily life, Bob. I'm sorry if I've cut you. Getting into the daily life portion of it, because it's not just psychological, it's also physical. Weapons of mass destruction are used to torture targeted individuals, and these weapons of mass destruction are directed energy weapons, microwave weapons, right? And they have two types of weapons that I know about. One of them is a microwave emitter that heats up the body, that dehydrates the body. And another one is a device that actually puts pressure on the head. It feels like your head is in a vice. So it's not just your head they put it on. They also put it on your ovaries, on your heart, on any part of your organs that they feel will be better able to control or damage you or make you sick. And to be honest, being on the receiving end of that long term is draining. I find myself being tired a lot of the time. I feel like it's aged me. Doing daily things like going out for a walk, you know, sometimes it's a bit of a mission because of everything that I've gone through and continue to go through every day. Because I'm really being hammered hard, especially if I get too close to the truth and they want to try to send me crazy, then the physical torture intensifies as well as the psychological torture. So I've got all that to contend with day in and day out. If I sing too high, the rays come on. Because I used to have a very, very wide vocal range, and they cut that range down just so that they can have something over me by damaging my throat and also damaging my lungs so that I couldn't feel my lungs, and damaging my heart and my whole respiratory system. They're damaging that so that it can affect my singing and also affect my breathing. So
I'm going to say, do you manage to sleep at night then?
As painful as it is, yeah, sometimes I do manage to sleep, you know, and they didn't
help you in any way then?
The fact that I'm able to sleep, it does make it easier, because then my body recovery is not so problematic. I can you know, I can recover better when I'm able to sleep. So the fact that I'm able to sleep sometimes, it does help. The only time when I'm not able to sleep is when I'm being psychologically harassed.
Yeah. It must be hard when you're going out and you're being followed.
It used to.
A little bit about what's it like to think, well, I saw it's following me.
You know what? Because I know what's going on, I'm able to just focus on what it is I've got to do for the day. It used to really affect me before. People taking photos of me, people making hand signals. It used to enrage me. It used to completely enrage me. But now, because I understand what's happening and why it's happening, it removes some of the mystery. It removes some of the fear attached to it. These people are not going to do anything to me. These people walking are not going to do anything to me unless things get really, really bad. You know, they can always get worse. Gangstalkers don't have any limits to their evil. But because I know the gist of what they're actually doing, it doesn't affect me anymore. Not the same way. That's what I'm saying. The abuse has plateaued now. So now they're going to try something else. Or they're going to try something else to unseat me. There's a certain amount of time where you just get used to it and you think, look, I've got stuff to do. Let me just get on with it.
Talk about skin having burning sensations.
Mm-hmm.
It took you years and years to get, what's all that about?
Well, I didn't realise where it was coming from. I thought it was just me. When I was a teenager, I used to get pains in my kidneys. And I used to get pains in my womb, and I didn't understand where those pains were coming from. And even when I started living here at first, I used to get burning sensations all over my back and on my arms, and I'm thinking, hold on a second, what is this? You're going to think this is really ridiculous, but I actually used to think it was angels, because I used to believe in angels back then. And I thought this burning sensation on my back and on my legs and arms used to be them communicating with me, but now I realize it was actually microwave weapons being emitted. So I didn't even know about the weaponry until like a few years ago.
Right. Do you think Masons are involved? Because they're a secret sect, they are, aren't
Oh
they?
my God. Look, they're definitely involved. There is no doubt in my mind. But what people have to understand is that it's not just what a secret society is, it's what it consists of. It consists of leaders from every single sector of industry. You've got policemen there, you've got corporate people there, you've got criminals there, head of criminal families there. So it's not just a secret society, it's a secret society that is basically an amalgamation of all the most powerful people on the planet from each sector. So a lot of people are involved in this. There are a lot of industries are involved in this, and this is a crime that is worth multi-billions of pounds here. So there are a lot of people involved in this. Masonry is a group, sure, but it's a group that involves a lot of powerful people, and they will use this as a way to try to control the population, because that's what they're interested in. They're interested in control. So Masons are definitely involved in this. When I started mentioning that Masons were involved and that MI5 was involved, MI6 was involved, and CIA was involved, I observed the behavioral changes in the stalkers every single time I mentioned those names. That's what made me realize who was involved.
Yeah, they're a very secret sect, and they don't want anybody standing in their way.
No, it's true. They're also very segregated as well. They're very segregated according to race and gender. They're also a very segregated race. So we've got to add the supremacist element to it as well. But the higher ranking Freemasons are all over this. All over this. Apparently it's routine for them to have somebody connected to Freemasonry who offers up one of their relatives for sacrifice or something, just to be in the club.
Right.
This happens more commonly than we think it does.
I bet it does, because you'll never hear anything like that in the news or anything like that. That's all kept quiet.
Because they're paid by the same people. That's why you'll never hear about it. Because they're all paid by the same people. They're all under control from the same people. So there are certain things that they are never going to report on without the say-so of certain plutocrats. What they will do with gang stalking is that they will take gang stalking and reframe it to make it sound like either it's good or it's not as severe as we're making it out to be. And it's happening already. You've got news stories in the Sun and the Daily Star about mind control and remote neural monitoring, and that's being separated from what is increasingly becoming a Gestapo government, not just here but all over the world. So it's like they're taking it and they're basically reframing it. Also, another example I want to use is the RFID chips. I supposedly have a chip in my head, and they're trying to reframe it as if it's a good thing, because you've got like a UK company over here that wants to use them. So they're basically taking everything.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that if you've got an implant in you.
Yeah, because I was scanned by.
Baby, what can we do about it then?
The only thing we can do at this point is to keep speaking out, really, really get knowledgeable about the law and know your rights. Because once you know your rights and you know exactly what it is what rights that you have and what rights the other person has, you can begin to work around that in order to really prove that what's happening to you is real, you've got to understand your rights. You've got to know your rights, and you've also got to keep speaking out no matter what. Take every opportunity to speak out. That's two things. The third thing is you need to gather evidence as often as you can. And I really used to take this for granted. I used to see TIs noting down every single phone conversation that they have. I'm thinking, what are you doing, man? But then I realized how important it is to record every single thing that you say to these people, every single meeting that you have, because again, these same people that you have meetings with will try to gaslight you. So it is very, very, very important to note down all important meetings that you have with specific people in your life. And also pay attention to doctors, servicemen, handymen. Pay attention to the people that are under you, and people that, not under you, but the people that take care of your day-to-day living. Really pay attention to them, because they will have an effect on everything that you do.
People get a lot of visitors then, or knocking on your door.
Okay, because I live in supported accommodation, I have a support worker come to see me twice or 3 times a week, because this is low supported accommodation. So they'll come to see me 2 to 3 times a week. And I also have to visit mental health authorities, because I'm part of early intervention service, because I actually spoke about gang stalking when I was hospitalized. And get this, I was hospitalized 2 months after the suicide attempt. Not 2 days, 2 months. So when I was getting better, that's when... Yeah, 2 months after, yeah. That's how I ended up with the IS.
Stay away. Why weren't you dealt with straight away then?
Because the point was to get me hospitalized when I was well, not when I was sick. When you get too close to the truth and the effects of the abuse plateau, that's when they hospitalize you.
So when you're going to hospital, what do they do to you?
Basically, they give me the runaround and try to. Then what they will do is, if I need to see anybody about a specific issue, what they will do is run me from pillar to post. So say I need to see somebody about my medications, I'll go to the nurse. The nurse will say, you need to go to this person. Then they'll say, you need to go to this person. It's all to destabilize you, and it's all to demoralize you from trying to seek help. And plus, they wouldn't let me go outside. I've been there for 2 weeks. They only let me outside once.
When you're in hospital, have you got a community worker who you can talk to then?
Well, no, not.
Don't you have anybody?
No, not really, because they can hire stalkers from within the hospital. That's when it gets even scarier. So not only are you hospitalized for a mental illness that was synthesized in the first place, now you're in there. You've got to deal with all kinds of other sick people, and some of them being stalkers on top of that. So no, even in hospital, there's no one around to help you.
Do they, trying to put it in as though I was in your place, does people come round here and ask you questions then?
What do you mean do they come to the house asking questions about gang stalking? Or...
No, I mean when you were in hospital, you get people coming round to talk to you and ask you why you're in here.
Yeah. I did get that. Not many. It wasn't many that asked me why I was there, but it was just, But I did get asked, yeah.
How did the doctors treat you when you were in there?
The doctors lied. They tried to spin everything as if I was crazy. I have evidence of that. Apparently part of the reason why I was hospitalized was because I was burning sage.
Right.
So the doctors lied. They were very condescending. They were very abrupt. Raised voices were used. They tried to insult my intelligence. So, the doctors didn't handle me very well at all. And they wouldn't, because they're on the payroll.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Being there to monitor you, find out a little bit more about you.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do, wouldn't they?
They would do that normally, but in this case, the point is to discredit me. So in whatever way they can find to try and make it look like everything that I'm saying is rambling, they will do it. That's how they operate.
Yeah. You know, it's... So, and how are you feeling yourself now, then?
I feel more resilient than I was. I feel calmer. I feel more confident. I feel less scared than I was. I'm weary, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm feeling actually okay at the moment. You know, that'll change, you know, because, you know, there are times where the torture affects me more than other times, but right now I do feel a bit more resilient than I was, you know, when I was first becoming aware of gang stalking.
Yeah, Susan's in the chat room. She said, you were hospitalised for burning sage. She said, did I hear that right? That's crazy.
Well, they said that was part of the reason, and that the other part was me talking about gang stalking. But like I said, I was hospitalised 2 months after my suicide attempt. They put me in there to stop me from having any more influence. They even said it right in front of me.
And, you know, if for any reason, could you leave this country? Or would you be able to?
The thing is, I'm going to be really honest, right? If I really wanted to, I mean, I'm on benefits right now. I've been on benefits for a while because of my mental health. But if I wanted to leave at any point, I could leave. There is nothing to stop me from leaving. But this is a global issue. We are talking intelligence services from all over the world with intercepted communications. Wherever you go, they will find a way to make your life hard. And the more isolated you are, the more they can basically kill you and make it look like it was an accident, or nobody will give a toss whether you live or die. Basically, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, but they will always follow you, and they will always find a way to make your life more difficult. It doesn't matter where you run to.
Yeah, I can imagine that as well. Because they'll know wherever you go, they'll find you.
Yeah. Because like I said, there are so many different things that are incorporated in gang stalking. Power of attorney fraud, weapons and defense systems experimentation, military experimentation. There is way too much money involved for me to just leave, and then as soon as I leave, it's going to be over. If that was the case, it would have ended as soon as I moved out of my father's house, but it didn't end. It got worse. So
you say you had cameras in your house, in your bedroom.
I actually called the police about that, and what was interesting, there is at least one camera in the house. I believe there are cameras all over the house in the smoke alarms. There's one that I have a smoke alarm, and it's got this like little pinhole in it, and I think that's where I'm being watched from, because they definitely got a camera in the smoke alarm. They also have a camera in a drywall behind the bathtub in the bathroom. That particular hidden camera I actually reported to police. Now, what happened during that phone call was interesting. They didn't take my name. They didn't take my details. They didn't take anything. They didn't take any of my information, and instead said, you need to talk to Brent Mind about it. So I've talked to my support worker about it, and they've reported it to their people, and they're going to see what they're going to do. But yeah, when I called the police, they did nothing. They didn't investigate it. They didn't even take my details.
Well, that's not right. Susan's just saying, why do you feel this is happening to you?
I think it was because, I'm about to say something really quite controversial here, but I think someone in my family made a deal with the devil. And I think that somebody in the family had to be the price that was paid. And I think that's why this is happening to me in particular. For someone else who's being targeted, it could be for an entirely different reason. You see, what matters is that you piss off the wrong people or you're chosen by the wrong people. That's what gets you targeted. So I think that with me, I was sold out from an early age before I even knew what was happening, and I think that's why this is happening to me in particular.
How do you see your future now then?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm not the type of person to be realistic. I'm not a pragmatic person. I'm not a very here and now person. I only see what I want to be. I don't really see what's right in front of me, and therefore I can't really see ahead. I honestly don't know what the future holds. The future could hold anything.
Do you want to move from where you are now?
I'm going to eventually, so it's not even a case of whether or not I want to. I'm going to. So, but even, like I said, even when I move, this isn't going to stop. It's not going to stop until it stops.
What advice would you give to somebody who, in the early stages, that found out that they're being followed?
Oh, I don't know what to. I don't know how to. That's a really good question. I don't know how to answer that. The only thing I can say.
Would you say to them, well, let's meet up and talk about it?
I would hope that they'd contact me, and you know, my Gmail is fabulosity@gmail.com. So I'd hope that they'd contact me and say, look, Fabienne, I'm going through this. I need your advice on this. What do I do? You know, the only thing I can say is, once again, get to know the law and study into MK Ultra mind control, because a lot of what you're going through is typical of a lot of those projects that went on. And stay abreast of the news when it comes to RFID chips, when it comes to G4S, when it comes to files discussed about the FBI and the CIA and these MK Ultra projects, because what you'll find is that they will take your experiences and reframe them. Stay informed is the best advice I can give anybody right now. Stay informed, keep talking, and find little things to do every day that make you feel good, because you need that. A lot of people forget that. When we talk about gangstalking and the effects it has on us, we often forget the little things that bring us joy, because, you know, it can get us caught up in, you know, what are the stalkers doing now and what are they doing now. It's important to have little moments to yourself every day where you have fun and you enjoy life and you laugh, you know. So on top of staying on top of the practical things, make sure that you're as accountable as possible. Make sure that you know your rights, and make sure that you have fun every day. It is so important. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that's hippie-ish nonsense. Listen, the effect that your mood has on your health is not a joke. You need to keep your health as tip-top as possible while you go through this.
Do you think more people will be targeted this century and being chipped?
Sorry?
You think more people this century will be more be targeted and now being chipped?
I think, I think that number will increase. Alan Colmer, who scanned my RFID chips, he's just gotten back to me and said he scanned 673 TIs who are RFID positive now in the UK. That number will increase. It will increase. It's not going to lessen. It will increase. They will take gang stalking mainstream, and they, like I said, they will reframe it to make it look as if they're looking for terrorists or looking for pedophiles or looking for mentally ill people, because that's how they always play it. So this will increase. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop until it stops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I can see that as well. So they can take over everybody.
It's about it's about control, because they already have more money than God. They don't need money. They don't need more money. They've already got money and control of most of the world's resources. This is about control and turning human beings into Sims characters. That's what this is about.
Mind control is a big thing.
It's big business. It's big business, because when you can, affect somebody's mind, imagine what else you can control: politics, warfare, economics. You can even affect breeding. If you affect somebody's mind, you can affect breeding. The possibilities are endless. You can literally control the population and manipulate the population to whatever effect that you want it to, simply through controlling people's minds.
Yeah, that's true. They could control the government in every state or every country in the world.
You can control everything, and you can do it all through this facade of law and order and justice, and then underneath it all, people are being handled like puppets. It's crazy.
So what do you want to do for yourself then? There must be a goal in your life, what you want to do to help others.
That's a good question. I've thought about, this sounds so ridiculous, but there's a dream of mine to become wealthy and then to share some of the proceeds with TIs in the community. It's so silly. Like, when you consider everything that's happening to me, it's so silly to think about. But I always wanted to become a wealthy person so that I could help, other marginalized people, TIs especially. But failing that, I will continue to speak out and make videos and inform people. And wherever I can be present, in TI conventions and stuff like that, which I don't do very many of. Not, if I do any of them, I don't do very many of them, which is a tragedy. I do want to be more present in the TI community and do whatever I can. But at the moment, I have to try to prioritize my mental health right now and get myself together. And then slowly but surely, I will start to incorporate myself more into the TI community, because it needs as much of us as possible. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course it does. Definitely. But you've got to look after yourself as well, haven't you?
Yeah. That's the difficult thing about this. It's like you're going through this hell, but there are other people going through this hell with you. So it's like you do need to take care of yourself, but also you need to help other people as well. And it's like prioritize. You have to prioritize these things, But I've been given so many good opportunities by so many TIs, so it'd be wrong for me not to play more of a part in this community. It'd be wrong for me not to do that. But right now I want to get my mental health together so that they can have somebody who's stable in their corner. And somebody, not somebody who's wilding out like I used to years ago. Not somebody's wilding out on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and, just basically just going crazy. They need somebody stable. They need somebody who's going to be a proper support system to them. And I can't necessarily do that right now if I'm not looking after my health. So that's my first priority. And then the second priority is I'm going to ingratiate myself more into the TI community by being more present face to face rather than just online.
You always make it a daily report about what's happened to you every day.
Not always. I'm not very disciplined when it comes to these things. I should be more disciplined when it comes to my videos and when it comes to my output, but the thing is that so many different things happen in my life, and sometimes I just struggle to stay on top of it, especially when I have to especially consider that I have a lot of sick relatives, so that plays a part too. And then I've got sickness myself because of all this torture that I'm going through. So I have to navigate all that. And sometimes, sometimes I just collapse and I get tired and I get drained. All of that, going through all of that is a lot. So me being disciplined, I wish I could be more disciplined than I am, but I'm just not. I go through too much for that.
Well, time will tell anyway, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you get back on your feet again, and you can start thinking about a purpose in life and how to help other people, because they'll probably need you to reach out for them.
They need all of us. They need all of us. They need all of us. They really do. There are some people going through this hell, and they have no one. And I'm lucky enough to have a support system. So like I said, it would be wrong of me not to at least offer that back. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You want to give everybody who is in the same situation as what you are.
Yeah. Yeah, they need it. They need it badly. It's hell to go through. This is hell.
It must be hard for you sometimes when you think, why me? Why did it happen to me?
You know what? I have such a grandiose opinion of myself that I never ever think, why is this happening to me? I think, of course it's happening to me, because I have so much to offer the world, and there are so many evil people who want to take that away from me just so they can have something to feel powerful about. Because the thing is, strength invites challenge. And I know that this is happening to me ultimately because I'm strong enough to resist people trying to tell me what right and wrong is. So I don't think, why is it happening to me?
Do that as well.
I don't think, why is this happening to me? I think, oh, yeah, of course it is. Because the thing is, not only do I have talent, do I have intelligence, but I also have a sense of right and wrong that nobody could take away from me, even in my most confused moments. So, of course, me. Why not me? It's the same story with almost every other TI. They all have something special inside them that somebody wants to take away from them. Of course you. Why wouldn't it be you? Especially in a world like this.
True. Right, we're nearly coming to the end of the show. It goes so quick sometimes.
I know.
And when we're talking about what's been happening to you. Now then, can everybody get in touch with you if they need your help?
Okay, so my email is fabulosd. It's a long word. I'm so sorry. It's fabulosd@gmail.com. If you need to get in touch with me via email, I am on Facebook as Fabienne Deacon. I am also on YouTube as fabulosd. I am also on Twitter as Serpentine Fire. You can reach my Twitter page by @ing Black Khaleesi. Yeah. I'm a fan of Game of Thrones. So I thought, yeah, Black Khaleesi, yeah.
Aye, wonderful. Well, I hope you've enjoyed coming on the show.
I have. Thank you so much, Bob.
Well, I like to get people on the show to speak their mind and to get out there so everybody can hear what they have to say.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed my time, and I want to thank you for
everything about gaslighting and gangstalking. It's a thing what's happening all over the UK and the world.
It's global. It's truly awful what's being done to people.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and to speak my piece. And I want to thank everybody for listening and everybody for watching. Thank you for, paying attention to this issue. And for any TIs out there, please know you're not alone in this. Like, you're not crazy. You are not crazy. This is happening to you. And you've got people online. That is always where it starts. It always starts with online, and then you meet people face to face. So please don't ever lose hope. You've got people in your corner. Don't lose hope.
Exactly, yeah. Reach out to people. And they're never alone in life, never. I live on my own, and I always say to myself, well, I'm not on my own, really. I might live on my own, but I've got friends who I can speak to.
Yeah.
Around the world.
Yeah, we're a global community, so don't be afraid to reach out to us, okay? Understand that we're human and we got flaws, but, also understand that you're not alone in this. You will never be alone in this. No matter. Bob's right. You're never alone.
Exactly. Oh, so thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll send you the archives of the show. Susan's wrote it up and everything like that. It doesn't take a long to sort it out anyway.
Okay.
Thank you to everybody in the chat room.
Thanks, Susan.
Love you, everyone.
Yeah, love
Bye
you.
now.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Bob. Take care.
All right, you are clear.
Thank you, Susan.
You are welcome.